Power grid failure. Make sure your systems work properly for as long as it takes the utility companies to restore the grid. All information expressed by Standby Power Solutions, LLC, or its officers is strictly the opinion of Standby Power Solutions, LLC. First, understand the weak points in the power grid. Age is a primary concern. Many of our traditional baseline generating plants have been decommissioned. In the past, we have depended on coal-fired plants for stability and reliability. Coal plants are no longer being built. We have moved to other less stable but cleaner systems. Nevertheless, power created from every generating plant, no matter the source, must be transmitted to the end user, often over great distances. This requires the use of very large transformers. Sabotage has become a concern. There is a vulnerability with computer systems and EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Natural disaster can also be a disruptor, along with potential EMP from solar flares. It is necessary to have a basic understanding of what electricity is. The hydrogen atom is the most basic atom. It has one proton and one electron. Electrons are negatively charged and protons are positively charged, so they are attracted to each other exactly like magnets. That charge is what keeps the electron in place orbiting around the proton. This attraction is the same phenomenon you played with when you were a kid and played with magnets. Like charges repel, opposite charges attract. Electricity is transmitted through metal wire, often copper. Copper has 29 protons and 29 electrons. With so many electrons, it is possible to bump electrons from one copper atom to another without a lot of difficulty. We use an electron pump or generator to move electrons down a wire, just like a pump can move water through a pipe. An electron pump, a generator, pumps electrons down a wire so that an electron flow can be used to drive motors, provide light, or run computers. That's what electricity is. But there are a lot of other things that can move electrons. A generator provides a consistent supply of electricity at a predictable volume and pressure. The pressure is referred to as voltage. Think of the movement of electrons as water from a garden hose. It comes out at a predictable pressure and volume. If you want a gentle flow to water your flowers, you change to a sprinkler head. If you want to fill a pool, you take off the nozzle and let the water flow. It's the same with electricity. We can change the flow with transformers, switches, breakers, resistors, and other devices. The pressure is voltage. The volume is amperage. The amount of energy is wattage. Volts times amps equals watts. When something interferes with the steady, even flow from a generator, it can cause trouble. Lightning can move electrons in high volume and pressure, but for a very short time. Utility companies prepare for this with surge suppressors and breakers. Lightning usually results in short-term issues. Extreme temperatures can cause overload, as in Texas in the winter of 2021. Heat pumps ran continuously, and their supplemental resistive heating elements kicked in. This used a lot more electrical power than anticipated and resulted in the need for more electricity than could be supplied. EMP, or electromagnetic pulse, works like lightning by forcing electrons to move in extremely high volume at extremely high voltage. These issues can result in damage to transmission and generating equipment. One of the most vulnerable parts of the electrical grid is the very large transformer. A transformer is a device that can change voltage up or down. Electric generating plants create electricity at between 10,000 and 33,000 volts. This voltage is too low to send power very far down the transmission lines. It would require large, expensive transmission lines, and there could be major loss due to resistance in the wire. As a result, this original voltage is boosted using a VLT very large transformer, to around 700,000 volts. At this high pressure, electricity can be sent for hundreds of miles over much smaller and less expensive wires. Another VLT awaits at the destination in order to reduce the high voltage to a usable level. VLTs are extremely expensive and rare. Most utility companies do not have spares. In addition, many VLTs are old. The loss of one may put large areas out of power for weeks or even months. VLTs are mostly made in foreign countries and have very long lead times. It could take nearly a year to build one. They are massively heavy and difficult to move. Even when one is located, it may take weeks to move it into place. Because of the massive weight, all roads must be checked out and all the bridges need to be examined and possibly reinforced. This preparation applies to railroad right-of-ways as well. Smaller transformers, lines, and switchgear are more readily available. Many utility companies keep the smaller equipment in inventory. Short of the loss of a critical VLT, the utility companies can restore power in most locations within a few hours or days. In extreme situations like hurricanes and ice storms, it may take weeks, but most materials are available. I know there has been a lot of talk about EMP. It is surely a threat from sun flares or sabotage. Keep in mind, EMP, electromagnetic pulse, produces the same kind of high voltage surge that lightning does. The utilities have been dealing with lightning for decades. Even though EMP may do damage, equipment is already in place to minimize some of that. Power outages of uncomfortable duration are likely to continue to happen. Most cities and many states are nearly ready. If you only knew how to use the assets you already have. Emergency generators protect life and greatly relieve the strain caused by loss of power. Fresh water supply, fire suppression, waste treatment, essential lighting, communications, emergency response, fuel delivery, and hospital and nursing home availability are definitely considerations. In most jurisdictions, emergency generators are already in place. However, essential maintenance, inspection, and testing is poorly understood. Your own municipal fire code requires compliance with NFPA 110. National Fire Protection Association Standard 110 is adopted along with International Building Code and International Fire Code. NFPA 110 is included as a requirement of your fire code. See International Fire Code Section 604. This includes hotels, schools, big box stores, stadiums, theaters, malls, and nearly any occupancy where electrical power is a life safety issue. Keep in mind, a generator is not only for grid problems or storms. In the event of fire, the fire company turns all energy sources off before they can begin to fight the fire. This means the generator is the only source of power for the life safety equipment. Fire pumps, smoke control, egress lighting, communications, and elevators. The generator must be maintained, tested, and inspected in accordance with NFPA 110. Review my article, How to Prepare for a Survey, on this website, and I will step you through the procedures necessary to assure reliable performance from the emergency generators you already own. You already have the staff, the equipment, and the legal provisions in place. You can control this. Make sure your systems work properly for as long as it takes the utility companies to restore the grid. All information expressed by Standby Power Solutions, LLC, or its officers is strictly the opinion of Standby Power Solutions, LLC. Standby Power Solutions, LLC disclaims any liability for any personal injury, property, or other damages of any nature whatsoever, whether special, indirect, consequential, or compensatory, directly or indirectly resulting from the publication, use of, or reliance on this website or any information derived thereof. Standby Power Solutions, LLC also makes no guarantee or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of any information contained herein. Anyone using this website should rely on his or her own independent judgment, or, as appropriate, seek the advice of a competent professional in determining the exercise of reasonable care in any given circumstance. All rights reserved. Do not reproduce without express written permission.